My name is Joe, and I have too many movies. Maybe I should watch one. Now, recently I've had James Franco on my mind. Well, to be honest, he's always on my mind. Boobs! Sorry, not in that way. The real reason why James the Franco has been on my mind recently is because he made his directorial debut in a certain film that I am very much excited for. I am so excited for it. It's called The Disaster Artist. It's a movie about the making of, well, a cinematic abortion, basically, called The Room, written and directed and doubly produced by Tommy Wiseau. It's based off of this book, The Disaster Artist, that was written by Greg Sestero, who was one of the stars of the movie and one of Tommy Wiseau's very close friends, and also Tom Bissell. Not really sure who that is, probably just an author, but this is an amazing book. Even if you know nothing about the movie, don't care about films, why are you watching that? Regardless, even if you don't like, movies or bad movies or Tommy Wiseau or whatever, this is a phenomenal read. I highly recommend it. It's Joe guaranteed. But, moving on, it's such a highly anticipated movie. Like I said, James Franco made his directorial debut in it. He plays Tommy Wiseau. It's got a terrific cast, and I am so excited for it because it's getting rave reviews. It's been shown at film festivals, and it's one of the most highly anticipated movies of the year. And they're even saying, it's got a lot of Oscar buzz around it for James Franco. Not just for his directing, but also for his acting. So I cannot wait to see it. Thank God it comes out in December. God, why? But I'm in the Franco mood now. Is that a thing, Franco mood? Because I want him. God, not like that, boobs. I just want to watch a movie of his, but I want to watch a movie I've never seen of his. And I mean, he's getting a lot of Oscar buzz. Has he been nominated for an Oscar before? Yes! Yes, he has! Me answering my own question because nobody else is here. I'm not crazy, though. He has been nominated for an Oscar for the lead Try that again. For the lead actor Oscar. A few years ago for the movie 127 Hours. It was directed by Danny Boyle, also co-written by him, right after he won the Best Director Oscar for Slumdog Millionaire, another movie I haven't seen. Also, that movie won Best Picture. And Danny Boyle's got a pretty good track record, and I've heard wonderful things about this movie. It's got rave reviews from fans and critics. I bought it a long time ago, just for some reason have never tried to watch it. But like I said, I'm in the Franco mood, so it's time to give this thing a watch. I'll do that. And I'll come back and I'll talk some more, because who doesn't want that? That was some tough shit. Okay, so yeah, I watched 127 Hours. I'm gonna review this, so I got a lot to say about it. Yeah, so starting off, I'm gonna talk about the plot / the script. Now, if you didn't know, 127 Hours is based off of the incredible true story of Aaron Ralston, who basically is like he seeks adventure in life. He goes on long hikes. He doesn't tell anybody, you know, where he's gonna go. He's kind of a loner. He doesn't like to tell people about what he's doing in his life. He wants to go experience everything. He goes on hikes. He climbs mountains. He, you know, does all this crap, you know, that people like him do. Obviously, people like me don't. If my paleness, you know, didn't give it away, I just like to stay in and watch movies. But maybe one day I'll climb a pebble or something. I don't know. But anyway, Aaron Ralston, he goes off on this adventure to go through this canyon, just to trek through it for a few days, just get lost in it, and like I said, to experience life. When he gets there, he comes across 2 female hikers. They kind of have a little good time together, and then he's trekking along. He falls through when he's trying to climb through a canyon, and his right arm gets stuck between a rock and a hard place, which was actually this movie is based off the book A Rock and Hard Place, written by Aaron Ralston. So funny. But his right arm is stuck. He cannot, no matter what he does, he cannot get that bitch out. His hand is probably broken. You can see the streak of blood coming down the rocks, and it's just huge boulder just trapped in his right arm. He doesn't have much water. He doesn't have much food, but he is trapped there for nearly a week. And I'll go ahead and say this: it's based off of a true story. You know, I think it says on the back of the Blu-ray, yeah, to turn adversity into triumph. Obviously, the dude doesn't die. You know, he gets out. So, really, no need to warn about spoilers, doesn't matter. The guy does live. Aaron Ralston is still alive. His right arm is stuck, and the movie becomes then very intimate, where it's basically just him, James Franco playing Aaron Ralston, in the canyon, and it's very claustrophobic. But I'll get to that when it comes to the characters, the cast, and directing and everything. But basically, it's him trapped there. We go through that for a few days. He records stuff on his little camcorder, kind of telling people goodbye. He loses hope. He has hallucinations. He thinks about mistakes he's made in his life, how he was kind of selfish, and it's an incredible journey, you know, into this person's psyche in a way. And you want to see him survive. And it is a tale of triumph, because at the very end of it, he has to cut his right arm off. Literally break it in pieces and cut it off with like a Swiss Army knife. And then he does escape, and like I said, no need to spoil it, we know he gets out alive. But that is the plot. Now, Danny Boyle and his co-writer did a fantastic job with the script, because, I mean, I haven't read the script, and there's not a lot of dialogue in the movie. There really isn't. But from what they wrote, you know, to put that on screen, and we'll get to Danny Boyle's brilliant directing at the end of this, but the script, you know, was obviously well written, you know, to describe, and they had Aaron Ralston's book to go by, but they would have had to have, you know, taken that, put it in script form, which isn't too much different, especially when you're just describing, like, you know, how it is when he cuts his arm and the pain and everything. And apparently in Aaron Ralston's book, he was very descriptive, because I'm sure that's always going to stick with him. But, you know, the script was solid. I mean, they did a really good job, you know, from what I've read and what I've been told through, like, the documentaries and everything. They didn't really change a lot. It's very, very accurate to what happened. And that doesn't really happen a lot in Hollywood when they adapt a true life story. Just some stuff like him with the girls, that was from another time, but they put it here before what happened to him. But besides that, everything else is very true. So they want to be very respectful to the true story of Aaron Ralston, and I certainly believed it. I think they did a phenomenal job. But there's not a lot of dialogue in the movie. Really, what makes this movie great is the directing, the editing, and the acting. So we'll get away from the script, and we'll go next to the characters / the cast. Really, the main person in this movie is James Franco. He's the main star, of course. He was nominated for a lead acting Oscar in this, and it kind of shocked me at the time, because it's not that he's ever given bad performances. You know, he was very memorable in the Spider-Man trilogy. He's done a lot of good work. Pineapple Express, he was awesome. But, you know, an Oscar nomination just seemed to kind of come out of left field. Now that I saw this, I completely understand, because James Franco really put himself basically into Aaron Ralston's shoes. Like, he lived this week in that canyon, not the real canyon obviously, but with his arm stuck in there. And it had to have been really tough for him as an actor, but he gives such a great, the best James Franco performance I've seen, and hopefully he outdoes it in The Disaster Artist, but it's gonna be tough to top. He makes you believe the pain he's going through, and not just the physical pain, but the emotional too. It's very, very believable. You feel sorry for him, and honestly, I didn't see James Franco on the screen, and that's the best performances, when you can forget that it is the actor, even a well-known actor like James Franco, and you see the character. I saw Aaron Ralston, and he has a very strong resemblance to Aaron Ralston. It's kind of eerie, actually, and just what he did, and I'll get to how they shot this and everything, but the way they shot this in that set, very enclosed set, so he had to spend, probably a month or two just in this it was real, no CG. They built that set to look just like the original canyon, and it did. And even though it was a fake arm, he had to still stay there and be stuck there with the fake arm attached to him. So he was basically living that life, or living that week that Aaron Ralston did. And so that's when you get the best performances, when the actor really feels like they're there. And James Franco, I believed every second of it. I really did. And they did a good job setting this guy up. I should have said that when it came to the script. Setting up, very short scene at the beginning when he leaves his house. He doesn't answer his mom's messages. He kind of ignores the world for his own selfish needs, like we all do sometimes. I know I definitely do occasionally. And it's a very human thing to do, and we can sympathize with him. And the reason why I'm bringing that up now is because, when he finally regrets it and thinks about the mistakes he's made, and those mistakes come up, you believe the emotional performance of him just regretting, and wanting a second chance at life, but basically giving up, until he doesn't. And when he does have to cut that arm, I believe it. I believe he's in pain. And at the very end, when he finds a family and he's got his arm in a sling, and he just, the look, the looks of relief that he has even after he cuts his arm off and he's freed from the rock, you believe it. This performance by him, and this will just get repetitive, so I'll stop, but James Franco is a marvel in this, and it's going to be a tough performance for him to top. It made him one of my favorite working actors today. And there's really not much to say about the rest of the cast. There's, the two girls, Kate Mara and I can't remember the other girl's name, but they weren't in it for very long. Everyone else did fine, but this is James Franco's movie. It really is. Him as Aaron Ralston, like I said, is just marvelous. So that's really it for the characters in the cast. And last but not least, I'm going to talk about the directing, editing, and the music. The direction in this. Danny Boyle. I haven't really seen much by Danny Boyle. I still haven't watched Slumdog Millionaire. Yes, I own it. But, oh my god, and I just have to put him and the editing in the same category, because the two just mesh so well. How he made, it's not a simple story. It's just a story, but it is. It's a story of just survival. It's one man, one character in this little set. That could get boring really fast. And I'll go ahead and say, like, the editing, the way they use, because the way Danny shot this, with, the regular cameras, but also with the older camcorders, little almost like GoPros and stuff like that, make you feel like you're really there, almost like you're looking over Aaron Ralston's shoulders. While he's going on this journey, even in the beginning when he's just, hiking through the canyon and he's with the girls, you really kind of feel like you're there, or you are Aaron Ralston sometimes. Just the shots are brilliant. But when they finally get into, the canyon and his arm is stuck, just the claustrophobic filmmaking, as I like to call it, like right in James Franco's face. And his performance just carries this movie, but the direction, is a close second, just because. And he wasn't nominated for a Best Director Oscar, and I guess maybe if one more hadn't been nominated that year, he definitely would have. I mean, it was nominated for like Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Film Editing, which it deserved. He deserved a Best Director nomination, in my opinion. I think he was kind of robbed. They should have just squeezed him in. You know, he may not have won, but they should have squeezed him in because it's amazing how many different shots he thought of just in that little space. The direction, you know, is very unique almost, and it just seemed, I don't know, it just seemed like he was thinking out of the box, you know, even though they were basically trapped in this little box. You know, it's, you know, he had a vision and he knew exactly what he was going to do, but the editing is crisp and it flows so well. It's only a 90-minute movie, but I remember I was just like, wait, how long have I been watching this? And it already been an hour and 10 minutes. It was only another 20 minutes and we weren't even at the arm cutting scene yet. And in the way even that's directed, because that's become the most famous scene in the movie. And it never overshadowed the movie, but that arm cutting scene, because it is so realistic. The prosthetic, or the fake arm, looks exactly like James Franco's arm. It's creepy, and it looks like he really is doing it. And again, now I'll talk about the music, put that in there. You know, the music during those scenes, the intense scenes, and the rest of the movie, the soundtrack is great. I'll buy it once it's a little bit cheaper. Maybe I can get it cheaper on CD, because iTunes it's like 15 bucks. It helps tell the story in the movie. It really does. And I'll say it probably every time I do one of these. That's what good music does in a good movie. It helps tell the story even when the acting is on point, and the directing and the editing. You still need that music. And the music in this, but it's weird. That's the one thing I want to say. It's weird choices for music, but by God does it fit. And they nailed it here, and the soundtrack is brilliant. And it got a lot of praise, and the songs were very, very well chosen, and you know, just the regular, you know, orchestral music, or it fits so well. And like I said, it keeps it flowing even better than it already was. But the editing is just so on point and so creative, and that's really the only way I can describe it. You have to watch it to really see what I'm talking about. But Danny Boyle, he deserved an Oscar nomination, but you know, he directed a beautiful, beautiful movie, and also, I don't want to say innovative, because the stuff he did is not like it hasn't been done before, but in this movie, it helped tell the story, tell Aaron Ralston's story, because the direction was kind of you know, James Franco's performance might have carried it, you know, but it wouldn't be nearly as acclaimed. But just with James Franco's performance, the editing, and the directing, you have an absolute near masterpiece. It's not like this movie was built up for me. I don't think anyone I know has seen it. But I read, you know, it's like 93-94% on Rotten Tomatoes. Audiences loved it. James Franco's performance was very well received. Danny Boyle's directing should, I think, been more talked about, but I'm sure it was back then. It was kind of like a little sleeper hit in a way, and I love those, because those are usually the better movies. Even if they don't win Best Picture, it was probably better than the Best Picture. And not always, but sometimes. And 127 Hours, I'm glad it got so critically acclaimed and got all the nominations it did, because it deserved it. It was only an hour and a half, and I didn't want more, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, it gave me the exact amount that I needed. And I'll say it like this, and a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you're a bitch, or blah, or blah, blah. I cried. Seriously. I cried at the end of this. When even after he frees his arm, he's still got to make the hike back to his car. It's like 8 miles away or 4 miles away. He comes across a family, he's screaming. The sound editing where you can't hear him scream, there's no sound. And finally the people look back, and then they find some help, and a helicopter comes. Even though I knew he survived, the movie was so well done, and everything, it was just so well told that it almost haunted me. Like, you went through this experience with him. You felt like you were there with him, and it was triumphant. And I cried. I didn't expect to. I don't cry that much at movies, but I love when a movie can pull those emotions out of me, especially when I don't expect them. I did not expect to cry at 127 Hours. It's a true story, but I knew he survived anyway. So why was I crying? And honestly, I don't know. I'm going to give this a Joe rating of 4.5 out of 5. So thank you very much for joining me on another edition of Too Many Movies with me, Joe. Please like my Facebook page, Apartment B1 Productions. Also, if you like this video, click and subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is also Apartment B1 Productions. Follow me on Twitter at FilmHolmes, even on Instagram at FilmHolmes. I also do a podcast with my buddy Jake. I'm not on it all the time, but most of the time, called What Were We Talking About? All the links to all this crap I just said is below in the description. So thank you very much. I'm Joe. This was Too Many Movies. Literally, I have way too many movies, and I cannot wait to see you guys next Friday. If you have any suggestions on movies from my collection that you want to see, please watch my movie collection video, also in the description, and give me your suggestions. If not, I will pick one out myself. So thank you very much. I'll see you then. Quiet on the set.